If we looked at your background, you should have had a nervous breakdown and lost your mind. You should have given up by this point. You should have thrown in the towel on yourself already. You should have walked away by now. But there's something in your gut, in your heart, in your spirit, in your innermost being that said, hold on. That instinct, that still small voice is about to turn your life around.
Regardless of the situation and circumstances, all the bad things happening around you, and what challenges you face now, you've got to believe in your heart of hearts that you can do it.
It's gonna be a dog fight. And if you're soft, you wanna get out now. This is where you're like, I quit.
Whatever you want, you gotta be willing to accept whatever come with it. Like adversity is adversity, opposition is opposition, but it's not so much about the opposition.
เตรียมพบกับ Beyond เกษตรกรบ้านเดี่ยวบนพื้นที่ของ12 ถึง 814 ตารางเมตรดีไซน์อยู่ในแผนกับครอบครัวลูกแฝดเติมเต็มชีวิตครอบครัวลูกหลานตอบรับไลฟ์สไตล์คนเหนือ Beyond เกษตรกรซอสตัวอาหารแม็กกี้เปลี่ยนโฉมใหม่สวยจับกระชับมือทำจากซอสถั่วเหลืองที่หมักด้วยวิธีธรรมชาติการันตีความหอมอร่อยเหมือนเดิมทุกคู่แม็กกี้โฉมใหม่หอมอร่อยเหมือนเดิม The Sakamoto family may look normal, but let me tell you, they are far from it. From the most legendary assassin of them all, a clairvoyant, the son of the founder of Japan's most powerful assassin group, a member of that group, and more. The Sakamoto fam is unlike anything you've seen before. And so to start things off, we have to talk about the foundation of this tight-knit crew. It's of course Sakamoto Taro, his wife and daughter. However, life before then for the big chap was wildly different. Sakamoto had a reputation of being the greatest assassin to ever live, a man who struck fear into the hearts of everyone who stood before him. Every hitman around the globe looked at Sakamoto with awe. He was him. But in spite of always expecting the unexpected as an assassin, Sakamoto couldn't predict what would happen next in his life. Because one day he was out shopping at a store when he met Aoi. It was love at first sight. Bro, instant, ultimately leading to the two dating, but there was one big problem. Sakamoto was still working as a top assassin for an elite group called the Order. Aoi, however, wasn't a fan of his dangerous, emotionless lifestyle. Thus, she wanted him to understand the true value of life. And so Aoi threw herself off the balcony to show Sakamoto what it felt like to lose someone he loved. Using his insane skills, Sakamoto jumped to save her just in time, but the lesson hit him hard. That moment of anguish made him realize how others must feel when he kills their loved ones. As a result, Bro promised to never take another life again, and instead dedicate himself to helping others, all in an effort to make up for the lives he had taken in the past. Now retired from his life as an assassin and the Order, the two got married and started fresh. Sakamoto was still living in an abandoned building that he was allowed to use, where he would sometimes work out on a lower level, when Aoi had a moment of genius. In that same building, the two opened a cozy little supermarket called Sakamoto's. Once he got used to his new life, Sakamoto was blessed with a daughter called Hana. He had little experience with kids outside of one escort mission in the past, but that ended up giving him the most valuable information of his life. Because of it, he knew how to make kids happy, noticing that a fat assassin seemed to make them giggle, which is lucky, as over the years, Sakamoto became accustomed to his new peaceful life, dedicating his time to becoming the best dad possible. This in turn, though, meant that he wasn't dedicating himself to staying fit. This seemingly made him an easy target for anyone in his past life still out to get him. This is why Shin Asakura re-entered Sakamoto's life. But the true reason for visiting him again was actually to assassinate Sakamoto. You see, Shin is no ordinary hitman. He's got clairvoyant abilities, meaning that he can actually read minds with ESP. He wasn't born with these abilities, though. Rather, it was a total accident. You see, Shin was raised in a lab by Professor Asakura at the Okutabi Science Museum. At first, he hated Shin as he was left with him by a friend of his named Ando, who abandoned the young boy. But over time, Shin and Asakura grew close, with him acting as the closest thing he had to a parent. But everything changed when one night, Shin accidentally drank the magnum opus science experiment that Asakura had spent years working on. A creation nobody believed he could pull off. The ability to grant someone clairvoyance. But the people around him in the lab no longer felt safe with Shin. The idea that he could listen into their thoughts at any moment scared them, and so over time, Shin was once again abandoned. Thus, he left the lab behind in search of his father, Tasuko Ando. During those 4 years, though, Shin found himself sneaking around in assassin business, which is how he became one of the few people who knew the truth about Sakamoto's legendary past, which is how Shin tracked him down. Despite these advantages, though, Sakamoto is skilled enough to completely block Shin's mind-reading powers, feeding him false images of Shin's own assassination instead. No one else comes close to completely countering Shin like this, except for maybe Nagumo, but that's another story. Because while some enemies can bypass Shin's ESP, none can do it as effortlessly as Sakamoto Taro. During that fight, it becomes clear just how outmatched Shin is, as Sakamoto deflects his bullet with a cough drop, before then handing him the fattest L of his assassin career. But after waking up and being cared for by Sakamoto's family, Shin started to see things differently. He saw the value in life just how Sakamoto did. Realizing this, Shin returned to his boss and begged to spare Sakamoto's life. His boss in turn tried to manipulate Shin into killing himself, forgetting that he could literally read minds. Nonetheless, as Shin fights for his life, he's totally outnumbered, which is when Sakamoto comes to his rescue. In return, he gives Shin the chance to work for him at the store. Well, I say give him a chance, Shin never really had a say in it. But this is where Shin learns the most important rules of being accepted into the Sakamoto family. The most important of which being a totally foreign concept to any assassin: no killing. Something which becomes clear when Aoi's involved in a bus checking incident. The two reunited on a mission for the first time in years, stopped the bus and saved the day. But it was clear that there was still room for Shin to grow stronger. After all, despite being able to read minds, it's useless if his body can't keep up with his brain. Luckily, he grew a lot. But more on that later, because the Sakamoto fam wasn't finished recruiting new members just yet. As that's when they meet Liu Xiaotang, a fierce martial artist and daughter of a Chinese tribe family who's in a scuffle with some thugs, showing off her crazy tai chi skills, which impressed Shin. In spite of this, he and Sakamoto jump in to help. You see, after Liu's parents were killed, they left her with a key to their hidden safe, a key that very dangerous dudes now wanted for themselves. Therefore, Sakamoto saw an opportunity. He needed Liu's extremely insane ability for himself. What was this ability? Her martial arts? Otherworldly riches? Her Chinese connections? No, the ability to make pork buns. And so when the people who killed Liu's parents came after her, Sakamoto once again stepped in to help. Well, this gave us a glimpse into the harsh world in which Liu grew up in, a world where she had to become stronger just to survive. But even she is shocked when Sakamoto absolutely destroys the killers. Now, unlike him and Shin, though, who had to be convinced to stop killing, Liu made that choice on her own already. She refuses to kill her enemies, believing that if she started to do so, the cycle of violence would never end. A mindset which made her perfect for Sakamoto's family. Unfortunately, she sucked as a job. It was her first job, and worse was that she would turn up 2 hours late. But even then, Liu grew close to Sakamoto, close enough to notice that something wasn't quite right one morning. Not only was the boss talkative, he was like an entirely new person. And well, what do you know? It was. This is Nagumo, aka the #1 aura farmer of Sakamoto games. He's from a family of assassins and has the ability to copy other people's appearances perfectly and almost instantly. What's more is that him and Sakamoto go way back. They first met at the JCC when they were just 14 years old, grown close over the years to the point where Nagumo genuinely cares about Sakamoto, so much so that he doesn't want him to be in danger. Hence why he dropped into the store to say hello. He wanted to let his big old buddy know that there was now a bounty on Sakamoto's head. A bounty.
If we looked at your background, you should have had a nervous breakdown and lost your mind. You should have given up by this point. You should have thrown in the towel on yourself already. You should have walked away by now. But there's something in your gut, in your heart, in your spirit, in your innermost being that said, hold on. That instinct, that still small voice is about to turn your life around.
Regardless of the situation and